Hello everybody and welcome to another Illumicrate unboxing and a review. So this will be the July Illumicrate and so I have the full box, so this will be the book and the items in it. So without further ado, let's crack this one open. So the theme for the July box is Magical Menagerie, and I will post I'll put a image of this over on the screens for you guys to pause and read if you want to. So let's get rid of some of this packaging, and then to some extent, I'm not very happy with this because this is the type of item that you only need once. However, I really love the one that I have and I can use the other one for my office. So the item that I'm talking about here is a desk mat, and so I'm eager to see because I think this is the book of the month as well, the design. So the design, ta-da! Oh my god, I cannot see that properly through the viewfinder, but that looks absolutely amazing. So yeah, like I'm not sure which one I should keep for here and which one I should put in the office now, because this is just absolutely stunning. So, forget my dislike for this item in the sense that I love both of them that I've had. The only issue is now, if they were to redo this at one point in time, what am I gonna do? I don't have three, I actually do, but I have another laptop, I have my laptop here, but my laptop is never on like a mat like this, but absolutely stunning desk mat. Like, yeah, and I love the feel of these and the quality of these as well. So I think they are really good. So I think that they are a really quality item that they've started adding into the boxes. But it's just one that I'm like, I cannot really use multiple of these. Then we have some sort of a pouch. Is this a cell phone pouch? Because I feel like this is not the size that most cell phones nowadays are. So this is a pouch of something. You have the mirror in here, and then I guess you can put like coins in there or something like that. I'll have to check in the description what this is like intended for. But like it kind of reminds me of like the old school phone cases, but that's definitely not what it's going to be. But it seems like, is it just my imagination or it's open on both sides? Like it didn't look like that when I looked in here, right? Oh, it is. So it definitely has to be a pouch for something like a cell phone, for example. So yeah, I'll have to look that up later because I'm not entirely sure what they intend as the use for this. Then we have a set of magnetic bookmarks, which seem to have some sort of like troll or goblin type creatures on it. It says the hidden ones of Jostland, which I don't know what these are supposed to be. I'll have those in a like close up as well, because that's going to be very difficult to see over on the camera. And I don't know, I don't really like magnetic bookmarks all that much. I feel like they all too easily can like damage a page, or can make like, you know, while you're reading it, it flops down kind of thing. So you should be removing them while you're reading, I guess. So that's less of my thing, but very understandable choice as well. And then we have a notepad book, which is also not something that I tend to use a ton of. And I have another one of them, and I will say that they're always gorgeous. The quality is really well done, but it's just something that's not really something that I use all that much. So gorgeous print on that. It has some sort of like dragon-esque or type of creatures and some moths, and it is Oh, it's not just a notebook. Oh, it's another reading tracker. I have a reading tracker. It maybe have been one of Fairyloot. I'll have to check that. So you have this sort of thing where you can indicate the titles of what you've read throughout the year. Then you can kind of indicate the best book you've read in a month, for example. Oh, a reading challenge for Illumicrate. I'll take back my words. I'm really enjoying this. The Illumicrate reading challenge is really like books that Illumicrate has done in the past. And so some of these I can already cross off. I've read The Just Had Air, I've read Babel, read God Killer, read The Book Eaters, read The Whispering Dark, read The Unbroken, read She Who Became the Sun, Witch King, The Jasmine Throne, and Starling House. So I already read 10 out of these. And this is a grid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 by 5 is 25, 24. 10 out of 24, it's pretty damn good. Yeah, okay, it looks like it really looks like a really cool thing. So actually, I am really happy with this one. Will I use it? Probably not, because I am now logging everything digitally, and so I don't know how likely it is that I'm also going to be physically logging these things, but I do think that it's a really good one, gorgeously done and really thought out. Which brings us, I think, nothing else in there? Yeah, brings us to the book. So if you noticed me saying that the desk mat was inspired by the book of the month, then you will have noticed some of the imagery on the desk mat. You know that it had phoenixes on it. So the book of the month is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean, which, as far as I'm aware, is a sort of like cozy fantasy about a sort of, let's say, a shelter for magical creatures. So that's what I remember about it. The back says, falling in love never burns so bright. And let's read the synopsis. As head phoenix keeper at a world-renowned zoo for magical creatures, Ayla's childhood dream of conserving critically endangered fight birds seems closer than ever. There's just one glaring caveat. That's my cat pushing the pen off of the table. This is my cat playing with the pen now. I don't know if you hear these sounds, but if you do, this is what's happening. There's just one glaring caveat. Her zoo breeding program hasn't functioned for decades. When a tragic phoenix heist sabotages the flagship initiative at a neighboring zoo, Ayla must prove her derelict facilities are fit to take the reins. But saving an entire species from extinction requires more than stellar animal handling skills. Carnivorous water horses, tempestuous thunderhawks, mischievous dragons, Ayla has no problem wrangling beasts. Inspiring zoo patrons? That's another story. Mustering the courage to ask for help from the hotshot griffin keeper at the zoo's most popular exhibit? Virtually impossible. Especially when that hotshot griffin keeper happens to be her arch-rival from college, Luciana, an annoyingly brooding and insufferable know-it-all with the grace of a basilisk and the face of a goddess, who's convinced that Ayla's beloved phoenix would serve their cause better as an active performer rather than a passive conservation exhibit. With the world watching and the threat of poachers looming, Ayla's success is no longer merely a matter of keeping her job. She is the keeper of the phoenix, and the future of the species now rests on her shoulder. There's just one thing she has to remember: she's also not alone. So, queer, cozy fantasy, here for it. So, this is a cover. I will overlay the original cover. I think it is pretty similar. I just think it has way less of I don't think it is that green. I think it has a little bit of a different color wave to it. It's more like orange and white. This is still orange, I think, but redder, and I don't think it has that green in it. I think it is just a recovering, like a recolor of the cover. I don't think it's an original cover. Let's take a look underneath the dust jacket. And underneath the dust jackets. So we have a gorgeous print here on the front, which like a gorgeous illustration of a phoenix. And then at the back we have a sort of like poster style back to this, which says, a world famous Santam Kula Zoo help save the Silimalo phoenix. Gorgeous sprayed edges, phoenix design on the sprayed edges, phoenix and dragons, multiple magical creatures, a illustrated end paper, and at the back we have a different one. Gorgeous. And then we have author signature, author's letter, pretty long author's letter as well. Nice illustrated map, which will be the original one as well, I'm sure. There's multiple illustrations throughout, it seems like, because the start of the book also has illustrations in it. It doesn't seem to be like full of illustrations, but it has these tiny illustrations here and there, and maybe there will be some that are like as big as that one later on in the book as well. And then I don't think that there's anything special at the back of it. No. So gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And considering that I'm starting a new project where I'm going to be reading all of my TBR books all at once, hopefully one that I'm actually going to get around to quickly and not postpone the way that I've been doing for the past few months, even though I said I was going to read all of them as immediately after they arrived. But so yeah, this is the Illumicrate edition. I think it looks very promising. I think it sounds like it's going to be great fun and heartwarming, and so yeah, I'm all here for it, and hopefully I will get along with this one very well, because I do really love this edition as well. So I am over 20% into the Phoenix Keeper, and so I thought I was going to give you guys an update. So I have so far been enjoying the Phoenix Keeper, but I do feel like it might be a little bit on the long side for what it is, because it is just like a cozy fantasy, and I feel like things are drawn out a little bit too much for my preference for this genre, even though like it's just a subdivision in a genre, right? And so I haven't read a ton of cozy fantasy, so it's also not like I really have an inkling of what I enjoy within the genre and what I don't enjoy, but I do feel like this one is somewhat drawn out in that like it needs to be like moving a little more. Like I don't need to have like the most in-depth world building or character development or whatever. I'm just here for the vibes, and for that I feel like it's moving a little bit too slowly. But we are now, as I said, I'm like a quarter of the way in or something like that, and at this point in time the story has the plot line is kicked into gear. The plot line is like what I expected this plot line to be. I didn't necessarily remember what the blurb said at the back, but basically based off of those first few chapters it was kind of clear what the plotline was going to be, and then it took quite a long time for us to get there. I do enjoy that this one has like representation for neurodiversity, I'm assuming, but definitely anxiety representation. Our protagonist is somebody who definitely is much more sort of like drawn in, and she is not very outgoing, and so she has great relationships with the people that she's like comfortable with, but she really struggles like meeting new people, speaking out in crowds and stuff like that. And there's definitely also these smaller sections that are very relatable to me, not necessarily as much anymore to my present day self, but definitely to my past self, like in my 20s when I was starting out on the job market, or when I was still in college, and kind of like my tendency back then to think of like worst case scenarios. I do still have this possibility at this point in time. It does still occasionally happen, but I have like better tools to deal with it now, and I can like mentally block it a lot more than I did back then. And so like something very relatable to me even nowadays is like,
one of the guys in management asks to speak to her without giving any more context. And so when that happens to me nowadays as well, that also makes me go like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And kind of go through potential like disaster scenarios, whereas the person is like either just kind of talking to you about something, like insignificance, which isn't the case in this book, but like which would happen in my case. It has happened that it's been like, oh, okay, yeah, this is like nothing to do with me personally. It's just like about something work related that I need to be informed about. But in this case, it's also like she's going through all of the like potential catastrophes, like, oh, I'm gonna lose my job because of this or that, or like somebody complained about this or that. So that felt very relatable, and I do like that representation in here. The fact that she's like so like inadequate at dealing with like strangers or talking to people, while relatable, because I definitely am like that as well. Less now than I used to be, but it has been kind of grating on me a little bit, just because of how severe it is and how much it has been, like how drawn out this book has so far been. But yeah, I am enjoying it. And now that we're going to go into like the meat of the story, I'm interested to see whether like how I'm going to feel about that, how I'm going to feel about spending so many pages on that, because it feels to some extent very similar to a book that I've just been reading, a contemporary that I've been listening to, which I'm definitely sure is like 200 pages shorter or so than this book is. And I'm not entirely sure I'm going to enjoy having more of a page count spent on that. But yeah, I'll get back to you guys when I actually have some of those pages done, to let you guys know whether it was actually an issue, or whether it's worth that entire page counts.
Hello. So I have finished The Phoenix Keeper, so hopefully not the final book for me to finish today, but as I'm updating a video for it, I thought I'd also give you guys an update for this particular vlog for it. But so yes, I have enjoyed it. I definitely still think it's a little bit on the long side. Could have done with a little bit more of editing, but like it's definitely solid, cozy fantasy, and I enjoyed the magical zoo setting. I enjoyed the characters, the anxiety representation from time to time kind of exasperated me, and to the extent that you're just kind of like rooting for her to kind of get over it from time to time, or sometimes you're just like, oh no, come on. Like it's very recognizable. I have this way less than but when I used to like just start in the workforce and when I was still a teenager and stuff like that, a lot of these thought patterns were much more prevalent in me. And so to some extent I've kind of gotten over some of those issues with like always imagining worst case scenarios and stuff like that. And so from time to time it was just like annoying to read from the perspective of a character who has this train of thought going all the time, and sometimes you're just like, no, don't imagine the worst, or like, no, this is not gonna happen, don't spend any energy on it. But so yeah, I think it definitely had good representation, and I loved the characters and the relationships within this one. But so yeah, moving on, I have just been switching over into a memory called Empire, because I've been cleaning a little bit and I've been listening to that while I was doing that. And so now I think for the rest of the day we're just gonna be sat reading. I do still have like 2 hours of a memory called Empire to listen to, but I'm gonna switch to the Will of the Many for a while now, and so that'll be my priority for a little bit now. And then hopefully, I think like my main hope now is just to finish The Will of the Many and The Memory Called Empire, and then I'll use a scroll for the Principle of Moments. But I might actually have to use a second scroll. I might have to use a scroll for one of these other two as well.